Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace upon you. Good morning, all of you. Let me begin by thanking very warmly Sheikh al-Islam Bashazad, Back International Faith for Religions, and of course, the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy, because if I am here, it's because of their invitation. Last month, I was invited by young Muslim students in Europe, in Essen. I began my speech saying that I knew that a lot of them were Islamist. And I began my speech saying, being Islamist is good, but being Muslims is much better. I'm not sure that many of them appreciate this saying. But in fact, I wanted really to, once again, because I'm always, everywhere, disseminating this idea that, especially in this period of time where you know that there is a rise of extremist Islamists in Tunisia and in all the Arab world. So I'm trying to sell everywhere I go the idea that being Islamist may be good, but being Muslim is much better. So I don't know if they bought this idea, but I had to explain them why I do think that being Muslim is much better than being Islamist. Because when you are Islamist, it means that you feel that you are mainly part of the Muslim community, that you are accountable to the Muslim community, and that you are responsible toward the Muslim community. But what does it mean exactly to be a Muslim? I try to challenge them and say, look, if you want to know what is exactly to be Muslims, go to the origin of the faith. Go to the Prophet ﷺ himself and go to the Quran, and there you will probably find the answer. What is to be a Muslim? And I tried to sell them the idea that if really they want to find the good answer, go to the last hadith of the Prophet, where he says, to define himself and to define his mission, the very famous hadith where he said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent by God to fulfill the highest amount of values. And I asked them to ponder about this say. The Prophet didn't say, I was sent by God to make you love God or to make you know how to pray or how to do Ramadan, how to do pilgrimage. He didn't say that all. He said, I was sent by God only to fulfill the highest amount of human values. And human values, of course, are love, are respect, are dignity, etc., etc. So if you want to be a Muslim, stick to these values. Stick to this value. The Prophet was sent by God to promote them. More important, the other pillar, I think, of being a Muslim is one of the most, I wouldn't say the most beautiful verse, because in the Quran you cannot say this verse is beautiful, this is not. You're not allowed. And you know probably that it's also very, very difficult to translate the verses of the Quran. But I'll try my best. All Muslims here probably know this very extraordinary verse where he says, من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا. When you try to translate this verse, it means that to kill a human being, unfairly is to kill all humanity. And to protect the life of a single human being is to protect the life of all humanity. All humanity. This verse has a treasure of meaning because it states that every human being is, as one says in diplomacy, the unique and legitimate representative of the human species at all. So this is why I explain to the young people that being Islamist is good, but being Muslim is much better. Because when you are a real Muslim, you don't feel accountable to your own part of the population. You are accountable to all humanity. You are part of all humanity. You are responsible towards all humanity. And this is the core, I think, the core, the most important thing in the Islamic faith. And I do know that it's the same thing in the Jewish religion, in the Christian religion, everywhere. This idea, you'll find it in all religions. And this is why I always try to sell the young people, the Muslim young people, that look, if you want to be Muslims, go to the Quran and then go to the Prophet, and then you will find that when Islamists raised walls between you and other community, Islam would fall down all the barrier between you and the other community, other human communities. There is another one idea, most important idea, that also I want to sell everywhere I go when I talk to the young Muslims, whether in Tunisia or anywhere. The second idea is not typically an Islamic or Muslim idea. I took it from Gandhi, from the Mahatma Gandhi. This idea goes like this. You know that Gandhi used it to pray. In his public prayer, he used it to pray, to use the Quran, the Bible, and sacred Indian books, etc., etc. And he used it to say, to explain this attitude, saying, look, every religion is like a path in a mountain leading to the same top, which is God. So it doesn't matter that you take the mountain from west side or east side or north side or south side, because the path all the paths would lead you to the top of the mountain. So it doesn't matter whether you take the path. The most important thing is that you keep climbing the path until you reach this God. And you probably, you know that the closer, the higher you climb, the closer you get to the other people coming from the other sides. And this is the most important image for me, I think. Because we all know that our religions, they have a bright side and they have a dark sides. And we have to accept that this dark side is extremely dangerous, and you have to tackle it, because unfortunately, you know also that extremists are just alike. There is no more closer to the Islamic extremist than a Jewish extremist or a Hindu extremist or a Christian extremist. They said the dark side of our religions, and you have to try to sell the the bright side of our religions. Let me finish by the poem. I always, everywhere where I go, I try to sell this poem to remind people of this very, very beautiful poems in our Muslim culture of probably one of the most great poet and philosopher explaining this way of thinking about religions coming together. He is Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi, and this is the poem. I will try to read it very carefully so I can give the opportunity to the translator, because I do know that how difficult is it to translate poetry. And this is what Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi said more than nine centuries ago. He said, لقد كنت قبل اليوم أنكر صاحبي إن لم يكن ديني إلى دينه داني. لقد صار قلبي قابلا كل صورة فمرعى لغزلان ودير لرهبان وبيت لأوثان وكعبة طائف وألواح توراة ومصحف قرآن. أدين بدين الحب أن توجهت ركائبه فالحب ديني وإيماني. You probably have heard this say that on some issues like this, everything has been said and we have just to repeat. So allow me to repeat and repeat and repeat again and again this poem and go everywhere and remind our young people, whether are Christian, Jewish, or Hindu, that the most important is this message from Ibn Arabi. Thank you for your attention.